Hey everyone, excited to be back for this week's edition of Frequently Asked Questions for Commercial Real Estate. In today's video, what I want to do is talk about a topic that is extremely prevalent, in particular if you are a landlord rep, and that is how do you strategically attract the right tenants to your space such that they have success and you have long-term cash flow from those types of properties. Now, we're going to explain in this video how to go through that process of identifying the proper tenants, and then how do you go out there and seek out these individuals or these businesses to occupy your space. Now, before we end this video, I would greatly appreciate it if you can like and subscribe to this channel. It really does help with the YouTube algorithm and ensures more and more people can hear this message and learn about the many facets of commercial real estate. So now you've done that, go ahead and like and subscribe below. Let's go ahead and dive into this episode. All right, so the question itself is, how do you strategically place tenants in the buildings that you represent? So typically what I like to do when I first, start representing a landlord and trying to lease up a space is I like to get a lay of the land for the property. So I will go on site, try to get a full floor plan of the property, and then understand what their expectations are on the pricing front. So really getting an understanding of the size or an orientation of the space, and also the price that you're going to be asking for the space. Now, when you have those two metrics in mind, you can obviously come to an annual number of rent that's going to be charged for that space. So let's take an example of a property. Maybe you're representing a landlord that's looking to fill 6,000 square feet of space, and they're going to be asking $20 a square foot for that space. Well, $20 times 6,000 is going to be 120,000, which translates to roughly $10,000 a month in building related expenses. So when you take that number, what you like to do is I like to use a metric called rent to revenue ratio. This gives you a representation from a business standpoint, a comparison between what your rent charges for a monthly basis to what your total revenue for that business is on a monthly or yearly basis as well. So, if in this example you have a obligation of $120,000 a year in rent payments, what type of revenue is going to have to be produced by the tenant on site in order for them to be healthy and continue to pay the rent like they should? Usually, what I like to recommend is you don't really want to see much more than 10% of a rent to revenue ratio, meaning that, in this example, if you're paying $100,000 in rent or $120,000 in rent, I should say, really the business on site should be generating somewhere in the range of $1.2 million in revenue on a yearly basis for them to be able to support that rent payment. And this is from a retail standpoint, because I do a lot of retail real estate. If you're in the industrial space or the office space or some of these other spaces, maybe that rent to revenue ratio shifts slightly. But again, from a business owner's perspective, if you put yourself in the business owner's shoes, that's the type of, range that you should be at. And so you start having to think about, okay, what type of businesses can generate that kind of revenue and support it for a longer period of time so they become a successful tenant on site. And that's where you go through the process of going through the list of potential businesses that could occupy that space. For the 6,000 square foot example, as an example, maybe you start targeting convenience stores because they can generate quite a bit of revenue depending on what type of offerings they have. Maybe you start targeting restaurants, depending on the zoning. Maybe you start targeting bars / nightclubs, etc. Again, just examples of things that you should think about. Look, you got to think about the co-tenancy, the people in the area, and what potential cross-pollination could occur on site if it is a multi-tenant center. These are the type of things that you should think about as you're going through that process. So once you have a list of people or businesses, I should say, based on those numbers that you've generated, and then your thoughts on different if it's a multi-tenant center, for example, you got to think about the co-tenants as well to make sure that they all support each other and can cross-pollinate on a business standpoint. You got to start tailoring your message to focus on these types of tenants. And so, if you're targeting, in my previous example, if you're targeting a restaurant, if you're targeting a nightclub, if you're targeting some other, tenant that occupies that in that vertical, you need to make sure that the flyers you produce, you need to make sure that the property description that you provide, you need to make sure that any mailers that you send out are targeted towards attracting those types of tenants. So I'm a big fan of leveraging Canva. I'll go on Canva and generate a template that would essentially highlight all the characteristics of the space, provide the floor plan, and then on the marketing message, I will tailor it to say, oh, well, this will be a great spot for a restaurant. This will be a great spot for XYZ type of tenant because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever that is. And then I'll start disseminating that on digital media and other methods as well. So, tailoring your marketing message does make a big impact because it helps the business owner think about how they could potentially occupy that space and the benefits it has for them. So that's step number 2. Number 3 is to start getting out there. So once you've created your list of potential tenants, once you've created your marketing message, you need to get out there and start pounding the pavement. And what do I mean by pounding the pavement? I mean, and my favorite mode to be able to do that is to door knock. So I will go to physically go to businesses and introduce myself and say, we have this space available. Has these characteristics. These are the demographics. These are the characteristics of the space. And this is why I think it would be a good fit for you and your business, Mr. and Mrs. Business Owner. And I start having those conversations. And you do that on a regular basis, and you finally start identifying potential businesses that could go on site. There's also the method that many, many people take is just cold calling. You go down a list of 50 to 100 businesses that kind of that fall into the characteristics of what you're trying to put in that space, and you start calling their line and trying to get in touch with the decision maker, and then provide them with an opportunity and showcase that it could be a great fit. And your objective is to get them on site so they can see the space and then continually follow up with them over a period of time as well. And so that's kind of a method to follow. So first and foremost, identifying and understanding the space, getting an understanding of the size and price and what type of tenants could potentially occupy. Number 2 is to create the list of potential tenants, and then tailor a marketing message to be able to attract those tenants on site. And then finally, get out there and have a conversation with people, whether that's physically meeting them face to face, which is my favorite mode of doing so, door knocking, or cold calling. Just give them a call and see if you can get in touch with the decision maker and try to get them on site so that they can tour the space and ultimately sign a lease that is going to be beneficial for both them and also the landlord long term. So hopefully you gain some value from this video. I always greatly appreciate your all support. If you guys have any ideas for different videos that you'd like to see, don't hesitate to reach out. I want to make sure that this channel is as valuable as possible for you all. Along with that, if you guys are looking for commercial real estate in the area, I'm a commercial real estate agent here in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm also licensed in Indiana. I've done deals in multiple different states as well. So don't hesitate to give me a call at 502-536-7315, or you can reach me via email at Raphael@grisantigroup.com. Thanks again so much for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time.